Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. You say something, Abdullah?
Yes,
You see it now?
No.
طيب. Previously, last week, we had al-masdar al-mu'awwal made up of an or anna, an, right? Anna plus ismuha. It's not letting me write it. Ismuha. No, I can't write it. Ismuha wa khabruha. That was last week, right? And we said, if we look real quick, yasuruni annaka muti'. It pleases me, annaka, that you are muti', an here, ka here being ismu anna, and muti' being khabaru anna. And we said we can take this, right, muti', and we can say ita'a, and make it the masdar. And then we had our kaf, ita'atuka. So ita'atu is the masdar, right? Ita'atuka, this is your masdar. So if we have anna, if we a masdar with a mudaf ilay, if we were to take that out here and expand it from the masdar to anna plus ismuha wa khabruha, then this is called anna kamuti. This is called masdar al-mu'awwal, right? And we said that could be a fa'il, right? Or it could be na'ib fa'il, or it could be now here's atamanna. This is maf'ulun bihi, and it could be na'ib fa'il, and it could be jar wa majrur. Now we're gonna find out this masdar mu'awwal can be other than that as well, right? It doesn't have to be anna wa ismuha wa khabruha. It could be a masdar mu'awwal min an wal fi'l, right? Min an wal fi'l. It can take a fi'l, a verb, along with an, and that can be masdar al-mu'awwal, as we'll see here. So we see yasuruni an tasduqa, right? It pleases me that you, basically, you tell the truth. An tasduqa. Now we can take the masdar here and say sidq. Sidq is your masdar, right? Sidq is your masdar. From sadaqa yasduqu, right, is your masdar, right? So sidquqa is your truthfulness. Yasuruni sidquqa. We expanded sidquqa to an tasduqa. This is an plus a fi'l, and it's called masdar al-mu'awwal. Here it's acting as your fa'il, right? This masdar is your fa'il. Where's yasuruni? What is the fa'il? We said whenever we have a verb, we have to have two things. We have to have a fi'l. We have to show what that action is. We have to have a fa'il. We have to have a doer of that verb. Now a doer, can it be a verb? Or does it have to be a noun? A doer of a verb. Can it be a verb, or does it have to be a noun? A doer of a verb.
I mean, like it would have to be a noun.
It would have to be a noun, right? It would have to be a noun, right? So when we look at this sentence over here, the second one, bain al-qawsayn, as we said, this is qaws, right? Qaws, qawsayn, two, bain al-qawsayn. A bow and arrow, right? Right, you shoot the arrow here, right? This is called a qaws, right? And so these things look like bows, right? So they're called qawsain or qawsan, but baina qawsain. So if we look between al-qawsain, the two parentheses, yasuruni sidquqa. Here we would say sidqu is the fa'il. What makes me happy? Sidquqa. Fa'il marfu' with a dhamma, right? But if we look over here, yasuruni an tasduqa, where's the fa'il? Right? They have to have a fa'il. Yasuruni. Okay, I'm happy, but what made me happy? What's the doer here? Right? What's making me happy? What is the doer? So this is called al-masdar al-mu'awwal. Right? This is an tasduqa. This is in the place of the fa'il. Right? This is in the place of the fa'il. And the same thing goes for what we read last week, right? When we looked at these sentences. Yasuruni annaka muti'. We have yasuruni, we have the same verb here, but what is your fa'il here? Where is it? This whole sentence is your fa'il. Annaka muti' is masdar al-mu'awwal fi mahal raf fa'il. Fi mahal, in the position of being marfu' as your fa'il. Here, yasuruni ita'atuka. Ita'atu is your fa'il. Your obedience pleases me. Right? Ita'atu is the fa'il. Marfu' with a dhamma. Right? But yasuruni annaka muti', where's the fa'il? I can't see a fa'il. I have to have a fa'il. So anna plus ismuha wa khabruha, this is called al-masdar al-mu'awwal. So this is المصدر المؤول في محل رفع فاعل. So when we go down, it's our same thing. We have to have a fa'il for these sentences as well. Right? When we look بين القوسين, between the parentheses, it's easy to see them. Right? يفرحك أن تنجح. Right? يفرحك. If we look over here in parentheses, يفرحك نجاحك. Najah, your safety or your safety or your victory or your safety, like this. It يفرحك, it makes you happy. Here we can see here it's the file. That's what's making you happy. The najah. Here يفرحك أن تنجح. Where's the fa'il? أن تنجح is the masdar al-mu'awwal. Right? في محل رفع فاعل. Here it's في محل رفع فاعل in both of these two. So basically we can have أن plus ismuha wa khabruha, and this becomes a masdar al-mu'awwal. And it can be, as we said, it could be fa'il, it could be maf'ulun bihi, it could be na'ib fa'il, it could be jar wa majroor, as we had in our examples last week. This week we have an plus a fi'l. It's also a masdar al-mu'awwal. It can take the place of the fa'il. It can take the place here, as we will see, na'ib fa'il, because yukhafu is majhul. Yukhafu and yanqusa anil. Yukhafu, it is feared, not he fears, but it is feared, and yanqusa anil, that the Nile River will reduce in its water. Yanqus, it will diminish. It will reduce in its water. It will recede. Its water line will recede. Right? If we look over, yukhafu naqsul Nil, the reduction of the Nil is feared. We can see here, obviously, right? What does he fear? For instance, if we said yakhafu, meaning the president of Misr, يخاف نقص النيل. يخاف نقص النيل. If we were talking about the president, يخاف, he fears. نقص النيل. This would be your maf'ulun bihi. But because we don't know who he is, and it is feared in general, we're not talking about a person, then your maf'ulun bihi becomes your na'ib fa'il. Your object becomes your subject. Even in English, as we said that, right? يخاف أن ينقص النيل. So يخاف is your fa'il, or your fi'l. It is feared. It's your fi'l. Where's your fa'il? Or where's your na'ib fa'il? Because it's majhul. أن ينقص النيل مصدر المؤول, or أن ينقص, right? مصدر المؤول مرفوع نائب فاعل. يحب أن تنشط, right? يحب, it is liked, أن تنشط, that you have energy, that you have that you have energy. يحب نشاطك, your energy is loved. Your energy, your enthusiasm is loved or appreciated, right? Yuhabbu. Not who's doing it. If we said yuhibbu, for instance, your father, yuhibbu nashataka. He loves your energy. Nashata would be your maf'ulun bihi. But here we don't have who's loving it. It's just loved in general. Majhul, it's passive. Yuhabbu nashatuka. Nashatu becomes your na'ib fa'il. So here, yuhabbu has to have a na'ib fa'il. It's majhul, has to have a na'ib fa'il. And tanshata is your al-masdar al-mu'awwal, na'ib fa'il marfu'. So the first two are your fa'il. Next two, na'ib fa'il. Right? The next two are the mubtada. So we say, أن تفعل الواجب خير لك. أن تفعل الواجب خير لك. So here we have خير لك. That's obviously your خير. That's your khabar. That's better for you. If we look over in the بين القوسين, it's going to be easier. فعلك الواجب. You're doing your homework. فعلك. With a dhamma. فعلك on the lam. فعلك الواجب. You're doing of the homework. خير لك. فعلك is the mubtada. خير is the khabar. فعلك خير. Your doing is better. Right? So now, أن تفعل الواجب. We have a khabar here. خير لك. We have a khabar. Where is our mubtada? أن تفعل. Right? أن تفعل is your مصدر المؤول. مصدر المؤول مفعول مبتدا. أن تنسها الصديقة أفضل. أفضل is your khabar. Right? So we need a mubtada. Where's the mubtada? There's no noun here which is marfu'. When mubtada is marfu', we need a noun which is marfu'. When we look at sadiq, sadiq is the object of tansaha. It's the object of the verb that you're advising your friend. But if we look بين القوسين, نصحك الصديقة أفضل. نصحك أفضل. Your advice is better. So أن تنسها is the مصدر المؤول مبتدا مرفوع. Right? And Sadiq is your maf'ulun bihi for that. And because of the masdar al-mu'awwal, and afdal is your khabar marfu'. The next two. Because remember, the importance of this. What's the importance of this? Why I got to break the sentence down like this? You don't have to. But the more you know Arabic, the more detailed you know it, the better off you are. Right? The better off you are, and the more you're going to understand with the depth. But I said, for instance, the first sentence, yasuruni, what is it? Yasuruni an tasduqa. I have a verb which shows me two things. A verb shows me what two things? Verb shows me what two things? Nobody wants to answer now. Everybody's on mute, mashallah. A verb shows me two things. It shows me the action, and it shows me who's doing it. Right? So I have yasuruni. Huh?
Shows you who's doing it?
Of course. Of course, I can't just talk. I just can't say running, sitting, eating, drinking. No, he is, she is, you are, I am, we are. We got to have that. We got to have those two things. Whenever you have a fi'l, we said this a long time ago. Whenever you have a fi'l, you must have a fa'il. You can't have a verb without a doer. We don't talk in abstract terms, right? We don't talk in there's eating, there's drinking. There's no eating and drinking. If no one ever eats or drinks, then there is no eating or drinking. So you got to have a fa'il. You got to have a doer. So if I talk akala, the action is akal. The action is the masdar. The action is the masdar, right? And the fa'il is huwa, or hiya, or anta, or ana, or nahnu, like this. You got to have an action, and you got to have a doer of that action. So when I have these verbs here, right? Yufrihuka, yasuruni, yukhafu, yuhabbu. When I have these, I have to have a fa'il. Whenever I have a khabar, I have to have a mubtada. Whenever I have a mubtada, I have to have a khabar. Right? Some verbs require a third thing, which is a maf'ulun bihi. Some verbs require an object of the verb. Right? Some verbs, he sat. It does not require an object. He sat does not require an object. But he made requires an object. What did he make? He made something. He made something. It requires an object. Right? So some verbs require an object of the verb. But every verb requires a doer. Otherwise, it's not a verb. It's an idea. Right? It becomes a noun. Right? It becomes a noun. We're talking about eating in general. That's not a verb. Right? That's an idea. Running, it's an idea. Flying in space is an idea until someone flies. Then it becomes an action. Right? And an idea is a noun. So a verb has to have a doer. So here, if we look in this next set of examples, then we have a khabar as the masdar al-mu'awwal. We have a mubtada al-maru'a, wa ash-shuhhu. This is your mubtada. We got a noun. It's marfu in the beginning. That's your mubtada. And tahtaram nafsak. Al-maru'a. And this is a concept of like manlyhood. Right? Manlyhood. When we talk about in the hadith sciences, khawaram al-maru'a. Khawaram al-maru'a. Those things which negate manlyhood. And therefore, the scholars talk about they could negate a person's hadith from being accepted. Right? Khawaram al-maru'a, those things, for instance. If you saw and these are like etiquettes of custom. So for instance, you saw a person without a beard or shaving his beard and wearing his pants below his ankles, right? You would not accept that person's hadith. Like, man, he don't follow the hadith. He's shaving his face and mingling with women, you know, and smoking a cigarette and thobe dragging the ground. I'm not taking his hadith. There are also certain things in certain places, right, that you would say, man, I'm not taking that person's hadith. So for instance, if the mufti of a country got on television and he's eating an ice cream, he's got him a big double scoop ice cream, he's licking it while he's giving a fatwa. I'm not taking that fatwa from him, man. He's over there licking ice cream. You know what I mean? What's wrong with that guy? Right? Maybe in America, say ain't nothing wrong with licking ice cream in front of everybody, man. No problem. But there are etiquettes that have to be have to be, this is called maru'a. These are called maru'a, these etiquettes that make you a person, a man, and make people respect you. Al-maru'a an tahtaram nafsak. So we have a mubtada here. Whenever we have a nominal sentence, a jumla ismiya, it's made up of a mubtada and a khabar. So here we have a nominal sentence. We know alif lam. It's a nominal sentence. It has a dhamma there. It's a mubtada. Where's your khabar? An tahtaram nafsak. An tahtaram nafsak is your masdar al-mu'awwal khabar. So al-maru'a ihtiramuka nafsaka. We can see bain al-qawsayn, it becomes clear that this maru'a, this, I don't know how to translate it, but you understand the concept. Ihtiramuka nafsak. This maru'a is respect, is your respect for yourself. Right? Ashuh, which is stinginess, and tabkhala bimali ghayrik. Ashuh, right? Ashuh here is a principles. Principles is okay. Principles is okay. It comes from the word mar'a, like al-mar'u ala rajul. It means manhood. It means manhood, but manhood is you find for instance, you find a man, he's doing like this with his hair, chewing bubble gum. He's twisting his hair. Man, I'm not messing with that guy, man. You know what I mean? He's over there twirling his locks, chewing on bubble gum, looking crazy like a little girl, right? It's about this manhood. There's certain things that a person does, certain things that will reduce that manhood. And when we look, if you go, I challenge you guys, and we may not finish all of this, but the point is, I'll go through it real quick, right? Because we're at that time. But go through, because this maru'a is an important thing, and there's a book written on it by Sheikh Mashhur Hassan Salman. It's like 400 or 500 pages, because that's how important it is, and it deals with this hadith sciences as well. But manners is what's important, not necessarily al maru'a, but manners is important, or they are important. Go look up a baseball game in the 1930s. Go look for a picture of a baseball game in the 1930s. You will find every single person in the stands has a suit and a hat on. Except maybe some will have a suit without a hat. But everybody at a baseball game is wearing a top, like a derby, a top hat with a suit. At a baseball game. Now today they wear anything. Right? Today they wear anything. They dress anyway. You look at the masjid in America. For those who come to Fajr wearing pajamas, wearing shorts and t-shirts and doing stuff like this. And look at the masjid when you look at the durus in the haram. When you look in Mecca or Medina and you find those classes with the mashayikh and everybody's wearing their thobe and their kufis and their shamags, which class do you want to sit in? The class where the dudes got their socks on and Nike t-shirts and Reebok hat turns backward, or the class where everybody's got on the white thobes with the red shamag? There's a difference, man, of how people carry themselves. Now we think, I'm gonna be me, man. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna be me. Man, you can do you, but that's not Islam. There are rules, there are etiquettes that we as a generation have lost them. We don't care what fork we eat with, what spoon we eat with. We don't care about any of that. We don't place they got etiquettes for how you place your silverware. They got when you're finished. If you go to the bathroom, if you place your silverware across your plate like this means you're done, so the waiter can come back and take it. If you place your silverware to the side, then it means you're not done and you still want to eat. Stuff like this. There are etiquettes to learn. But we don't have any of that. We don't care about that stuff. We just do what we want to do. And if somebody don't like it, then that's on them. But that's why in all actuality, our hadith and our testimony would not be accepted. This maru'a is this manhood. That's why it's good to be translated as manhood, but that concept would need a long explanation like we have here. طيب. So we see this here. Al-maru'a is your mubtada here, and tahtaram is the masdar al-mu'awwal khabar. في محل الرفع, because the khabar is always marfu'. طلب التلميذ أن يجيب. طلب, we have a verb. التلميذ, right? We have a fa'il. The student requested. And yujiba, that he be answered, right? What did he request? And yujiba al-masdar al-mu'awwal fi mansub fi mahal al-nasb maf'ulun bihi, right? So here we have and yujiba, and if we look over here, talaba talmidu al-ijaba, what did he request? What did he look for? He was looking for an answer. This is the ijaba is your masdar, right? It is your maf'ulun bihi, mansub. Here it is spread out into a masdar al-mu'awwal maf'ulun bihi. If we look down below on number 11, just to get the concept. رغبت في أن يسافر, right? رغبت في أن يسافر. I was hoping, right? I had a hope for أن يسافر, that he would travel. Right? I had fi comes before a noun. If you see fi, you know a noun is after it. Yet here, and yusafir is not a noun. But if I look over here, ragibtu fi safrihi, right? Bain al-qawsayn, I hoped for his traveling. I was hoping he would travel. I was hoping for his traveling. So here we see the noun and we see the jar. But here we do not see it. So what is it? After fi we have a noun. So this an yusafiru is al-masdar al-mu'awwal fi mahal majroor bi harf jar. It's in the position of being majroor because of the harf jar. And this is going to just require us to see examples like this and to read them. Allah knows best. If you guys want, whenever we finish going over these qawa'id, whenever we finish going over these rules as a whole, then maybe we can go back and actually do the examples and actually study the whole book. It's up to you guys. Here, just to read the qawa'id and leave, because I know I went over and Abdullah's mad. The 110th rule. An, right? Harf an is a harf masdari. An is a harf masdari, right? It is a particle of something being a masdar. يؤول, right? وهو الفعل الذي بعده بمصدر. So the an and the fi'l بعده and the verb after it takes the place of a, or becomes the masdar al-mu'awwal. And then it says قد يكون المصدر المؤول من أن والفعل, right? It could be that the masdar al-mu'awwal, an and its fi'l, that's made up of an and a fi'l, it could be a fa'il, it could be a na'ib fa'il, it could be a mubtada, a khabar, a maf'ulun bihi, or it could be majroor bi harf jar. An or anna plus ismuha wa khabruha can be a fa'il, it could be na'ib fa'il, it could be maf'ulun bihi, and it could be jar or majroor. Or an with fi'l can be fa'il, na'ib fa'il, mubtada, khabar, maf'ulun bihi, or majroor bi harf jar. And give us examples. Any questions? Is it somewhat clear to you what we're doing here? Whenever we have a verb, we must have a fa'il. Right? Whenever we have a verb, we must have a fa'il. But sometimes that fa'il is not always clear. Sometimes it appears in the form of a phrase. We call that phrase al-masdar al-mu'awwal. طيب.
طيب.
جزاكم الله خيرا أراكم غدا إن شاء الله تعالى. We'll see you guys tomorrow with Surah Al-Qadr. Naam, Surah Al-Qadr. And the next hadith. And Abdul Hakim will be here with Share. Bi-idhnillah ta'ala. He'll be here with poetry.
Tomorrow?
No, I'm sorry. I'll be here tomorrow with Tuhfatul Akhyar. I'll be here tomorrow with Tuhfatul Akhyar and Adhkar and Adiyah. So it's all me tomorrow. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.